Hey everyone. Okay, today we are exploring a fascinating, honestly, almost inception like concept that sits right at the very heart of how we learn, how we grow, and how we solve problems. It's called metacognition, or simply put, thinking about thinking. It's a topic that's going to spark some deep self reflection, whether you're a student trying to ace a tough exam, a professional tackling complex projects, or, just someone curious about the hidden inner workings of your own mind. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's a quick roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with what metacognition actually is, then look at the major models from Flavel and Wells. From there, we'll see some practical classroom applications, how it acts as a massive ally for specific learning disabilities, the tools we use to measure it, like the AMOS and MCQC, and finally, how it all connects to our well-being and success.
All right, section 1. What is metacognition? Thinking about thinking.
I actually want to start off by asking you directly. Have you ever just stopped to consider how you actually memorize a list? Or how your brain processes really dense information when you're reading a difficult article? When you get stuck on a problem, are you even aware of the mental strategies you instantly deploy to get unstuck? That underlying awareness, that ability to kind of step back and observe your own mental machinery at work, that is exactly what we mean when we say thinking about thinking. So, this term was first introduced back in the 1970s by a developmental psychologist named John Flavel. He defined metacognition as a second-order cognition, which, well, basically means it's the knowledge and awareness regarding your own cognitive phenomena, processes, and strategies. Think of it this way. If standard cognition is just the act of remembering or problem-solving, metacognition is the higher-level control system. It's not just having a memory, it's knowing how to hack your own memory so it works best for you. And UNESCO's 1999 Vision for Education brilliantly illustrates why this concept is so globally important. They really emphasized forming active, flexible, and aware minds. Essentially, they wanted to teach students how to learn. They organized this entire vision around four fundamental pillars: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. And guess what? Metacognition is literally the engine that drives all of that flexibility. Moving right along, Section 2, the models. Flavel and Wells. Now that we have our foundational definition down, let's look at the actual mechanics by comparing two major theoretical models. Starting with Flavel, he separates metacognitive knowledge, which is knowing what strategies exist and how to use them, from metacognitive experiences, which are those real-time feelings you have while doing a task. Now, contrast that with Adrian Wells. Wells places a really heavy emphasis on stable beliefs about our cognitive system. It's about our core beliefs regarding what factors influence our thinking, our awareness of our current mental state, and how we evaluate the meaning of our own thoughts. Ultimately, both models highlight a really important point. It's not enough to just possess mental strategies. You have to actively deploy them with competence and flexibility. Okay, Section 3, Classroom Applications. Let's see this in action. So we've covered the dense psychology, but how does this actually look in the real world? Like, how do we apply this? Well, Anne Brown broke it down into 4 highly actionable steps that individuals use to access knowledge and then transfer it to totally new learning situations. First up is prediction. This is estimating the difficulty of a task before you even begin. Second is planning, organizing the specific actions you'll need to hit your goal. Third is monitoring, that active, ongoing control you exercise while doing the activity. Asking yourself, am I understanding this? Am I getting distracted? And finally, evaluation, testing your strategy after the fact and deciding if it needs to be modified for next time. To humanize this theory a bit, imagine a teacher. Let's call him Mr. Garcia. His goal isn't just to hand students the answers, right? He wants to support their independent use of metacognitive strategies. And he does this through something called scaffolding. This basically means he models his own thinking out loud for the class and then very gradually removes those training wheels. This helps students build up a personalized, customized repertoire of cognitive strategies. So when they inevitably get stuck, they don't just give up or immediately wait for the teacher to save them. They deploy their strategies to self-regulate, evaluate their progress, and find their own way forward. Which brings us to Section 4, an ally for learning disabilities, or DSA. Now, metacognition is a fantastic tool for the average student, but for students with specific learning disabilities like dyslexia or dyscalculia, this is literally a vital lifeline. As Ashman and colleagues noted back in 1997, cognitive and metacognitive strategies consist of educational paths that support students in organizing information to actively reduce complexity. Think about it. For a student whose brain just processes reading or math differently, the sheer complexity of standard schoolwork can be completely overwhelming. Metacognitive strategies actively act to reduce that cognitive overload. So it's not just a clever little learning hack, right? It is absolutely essential.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. For students who might view homework and lessons as just insurmountable obstacles, metacognition actually offers a way through. It guides them, often with the help of teachers or tutors, to discover a highly personalized study method. Instead of constantly fixating on their errors or what they can't do, an effective metacognitive approach shifts the student's focus entirely to their actual abilities. It teaches them exactly how their specific mind works, moving them dynamically from a state of total frustration into a state of regulated autonomy.
All right, Section 5, Tools, specifically the AMOS and MCQC for measuring metacognition.
So you might be wondering, how do we actually map out the inner workings of young minds? Well, we have two really interesting tools in the clinical and pedagogical toolkit. First up is the AMOS 8 to 15 battery, developed specifically for students aged 8 to 15. This thing assesses 7 key areas of study behavior, including motivation, study flexibility, and crucially, how they manage anxiety. Then we have the MQCC, or Metacognition's Questionnaire for Children. This one assesses kids aged 7 to 17, mapping out specific factors like cognitive monitoring and meta-worry. And meta-worry is literally kids worrying about how much they are worrying. It's absolutely fascinating, and it allows educators to pinpoint exactly where a student's self-regulation is breaking down.
Finally, Section 6, Well-being and Success.
This really brings the whole shebang together, connecting academic performance directly to emotional health. What the research absolutely makes clear is that metacognition isn't just about getting better grades. Self-regulated learners actually apply these strategies to actively manage their internal emotional state. By setting goals, monitoring progress, and reflecting on their processes, they effectively manage their motivation, their thoughts, and their anxiety. Mastering metacognition acts as a powerful psychological buffer. I mean, when students know what they know and clearly understand what they don't know, they can respond to feedback without being completely crushed by it. This hugely increases their confidence, making them incredibly resilient as they tackle new challenges, both in and out of the classroom. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge to apply this to your own life today. How aware are you of your own thinking patterns right now? The next time you face a complex task, are you just going to react automatically, or will you pause to predict, plan, monitor, and evaluate? Remember, the power to optimize your own mind is already in your hands. You literally just have to think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you in the next explainer.